Senator Sullivan. Senator Cruz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I will say thank you to my friend from Alaska for sharing, apparently, this deep void and longing in your heart. And I just want to reassure you, for Christmas, you will be getting that yellow sweater. Mr. Slater, I want to start with you. I want to talk a little bit about Project Dragonfly. In August of 2018, it was reported that Google was developing a censored search engine under the alias of Project Dragonfly. In response to those concerns, Alphabet shareholders requested that the company publish a human rights impact assessment by October 30th of this year, examining the actual and potential impacts of censored Google search in China. However, during Alphabet's shareholder meeting on June 19th, the proposal for the assessment was rejected. In fact, Alphabet's board of directors explicitly encouraged shareholders to vote against the proposal, and Alphabet commented that, quote, Google has been open about its desire to increase its ability to serve users in China and other countries. We have considered a variety of options for how to offer services in China in a way that is consistent with our mission and have gradually expanded our offerings to consumers in China. So I want to start with just some clarity. Mr. Slater, has Google ceased any and all development and work on Project Dragonfly?
Senator, to my knowledge, yes.
And has Google committed to foregoing future projects that may be named differently, but would be focused on developing a censored search engine in China?
Senator, we have nothing to announce at this time, and I think whatever we would do, we would look very carefully at things like human rights. In fact, we work with the Global Network Initiative on an ongoing basis to evaluate how our principles, our practices, our products comport with human rights and the law.
So, roughly contemporaneously, Google decided that it didn't want to work with the U.S. Department of Defense. How does Google justify having been willing to work with the Chinese government on complex projects, including artificial intelligence, under Project Maven, and at the same time not being willing to help the Department of Defense develop ways to minimize civilian casualties through better AI? How do you reconcile those two approaches?
Senator, as we've talked about today, we do partner with law enforcement, and we do partner with the military in certain ways, offering some of our services. Also, as a business, we draw responsible lines about where we want to be in business, including limitations on getting into the field of building weapons and so on. We will continue to evaluate that over time.
Let me shift to a different topic, which is this panel has talked about combating extremism and the efforts of social media to do that. Many Americans, including myself, have a longstanding concern that when big tech says it's combating extremism, that is often a shield for advancing political censorship. Mr. Pickles, I want to talk about recently, Twitter extended its pattern of censorship to the level that it took down the Twitter account of the Senate Majority Leader, Mitch McConnell. That I found a pretty remarkable thing for Twitter to do. And it did so because that account, as I understand it, had sent out a video of angry protesters outside of Senator McConnell's house, including an organizer of Black Lives Matter in Louisville who's heard in the video saying that the Senate Majority Leader, quote, should have broken his little raggedy wrinkled ass neck. And someone else who had a voodoo doll of the Majority Leader, and another angry protester said, just stab the MF's heart, although that person did not abbreviate MF. Senate Majority Leader sent out those threats of violence and found, rather remarkably, his own Twitter account taken down. How does Twitter explain that?
Well, thank you, Senator, for the opportunity to discuss this. Something we've been asked around the world is the climate in many political jurisdictions of safety of people who hold public office. And so when we saw a video posted by numerous users that clearly identified someone's home and clearly contained, as you reference, some quite severe threats, out of an abundance of caution, we did remove that video. We didn't remove the accounts. We removed that single tweet that contained the video from everybody who had posted it, because the essence of a video with someone's personal home, where the Senate Majority Leader may have been residing at the time, with several violent references, we felt was something out of an abundance of caution we should remove. We then discussed this further with the leader's office. We understood their intent was to call attention to those very threats of violence. And so we did permit the video to be put on Twitter with a warning message saying this is sensitive media. But it's that balance that we're striking between, I've been in many different situations where I've been asked the exact opposite, which is similar content should be removed because it contains a clear violent threat. And that balance is something that we strive to get right every day. But our first thought in that instance was the safety of Leader McConnell and his family.
You would agree there's a difference between someone posting video where they are threatening someone else and the target of that threat posting the video. You would agree that those are qualitatively different?
I think that's wholly fair, but I think in the situation where you have the person's home visible in the video, there is still a risk there. And we are motivated by preventing that offline harm that could have occurred because the home was visible. It was a hard call. And we appreciated the leader's discussion, discussing with his campaign team and his Senate office. And we appreciated their insight. But this was something that our motivation was to prevent harm, not the kind of potentially ideological issues you may allude to.
Thank you.